Okay, with having a quorum, we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us for the Monterey County EMS Operations Subcommittee meeting. I apologize, I'm having technical difficulties, so maybe I can get my video to work here, but otherwise I'll do the best I can. Let's see, with calling the meeting to order, Kimberly, would you like to do a roll call first, or should we we would like to observe a moment of silence, correct?
Correct.
Okay, yeah. For anybody on the call that may have not been on this morning's calls, there was the very unfortunate tragic loss of the Salinas police officer on February 25th, Jorge Alvarado, otherwise known as JD Alvarado, lost his life in the line of duty on February 25th. And it's been felt throughout the EMS community, and our hearts and feelings and support go out to the EMS community, the police community, and as well as his family and friends, anybody that may have known him or may have been involved in that call. There is going to be a public service tomorrow at Rabobank Stadium there in Salinas at 10 a.m. and all are invited to attend and participate. But out of respect for Officer Alvarado, I would like to take a moment of silence now at this time. Okay, thank you all very much. I appreciate it.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry, Kimberly, would you like to go ahead and do a roll call?
Yes, I will.
Perfect.
Scott Houchin. Chief Craddock.
I'm here.
Tina Nieto.
Here.
Cassie Caldera.
Here.
Will Hiller.
Here.
Dave Jednick. Olivia Madrigal. And Jeff Horner.
Present.
Any others on the line that would like to introduce themselves?
Ben Hitchcock with AMR.
Sandra Flores, AMR Communications.
Angie Lopez with AMR Communications.
Kimberly Hernandez, EMS Agency.
Steve Brooks, EMS Agency.
Deborah Hopgood, EMS Agency.
Teresa Rios, EMS Agency.
John Brawley, EMS Agency.
Okay, it looked like that's everybody that's on the line.
Okay, great. Thank you all, and thank you all again for joining. Much appreciated. Item number 2 on the agenda is our public comment. Any member of the public may address the committee for not to exceed 3 minutes on any issue not on the committee's agenda. The committee will listen to any communications, but may not take any action. Do we have any public comment? Okay, hearing none. Item 3, approval of the past ops meeting minutes. We're looking for approval of the last regular meeting we had on January 12th, and then also our special meeting regarding AB 361 that was held on February 9th. Do we have a motion to accept those minutes, approve those minutes?
And this Will Hiller, I motion to approve the minutes from January 12th and February 9th.
This Cassie Caldera, I'll second.
Okay, I'll do a roll call vote. Chief Craddock,
Aye.
Tina Nieto,
Aye.
Cassie Caldera,
Aye.
Will Hiller.
Aye.
Jeff Horner.
Aye.
Okay.
Okay, motion carries. Item 4, correspondence. It doesn't look like we have any correspondence, Kimberly.
No, we don't have any correspondence.
Okay, great. Item number 5, reports. It looks like Teresa Rios with an EMS agency update.
Thank you. There's a staff report attached to the agenda packet that highlights some of the activities of the EMS agency, some of our accomplishments and things that, still in the works, but we haven't made a lot of traction on. But just to highlight a couple of things, one is our 2022 policy and protocol cycle. We're towards the end of that. We've made a lot of improvements to the process. We've had a lot of stakeholder input along the way, and we've received very positive feedback. We are ready to launch the 2023 policy protocol development cycle. We have our internal meeting tomorrow. Our goal is to start that process as early as next week. Normally, we just send a list of policies and protocols that are up for review and to see if anybody wants to add anything to that list, so that we should be able to release that very, very soon. By starting this early, we're going to be gaining 4 or 5 months to the timeline, which will allow us to expand the timeline in some of the phases of the process, like the public comment period. One of the feedback that we had received before is that the public comment period needed to be lengthened because we do have a lot of policies that go through review each year. We have divided those, all of the 155 policies and protocols, and we have divided them equally during the 3 years that our target is to review all of the policies. And so we will be reviewing about 52 policies each year. So that's still a lot, less than 2022 that we had 68, but it's still, so I think that allowing us more time to review and for us to do the edits and everything, I think we'll have a much better product at the end. We're going to continue to have the input, that all of the opportunities for input that we implemented during 2022 will carry those over to 2023. I reported to the last 2 committees that we're working on the approval of a paramedic training program. This was a grant. I'm not sure if it was Monterey Salinas Fire. They received a grant for this program. And so as a lead agency, we have to approve that program. So we're working with, all the parties that need to be involved in that approval process. Then we also had a presentation at EMCC on the public AED tracking. We are hoping to be able to move into using a mobile app and a database to track all of those. The presentation we received from PulsePoint. They're a foundation, and they offer this service free of charge. And so we're going to try to move forward with this. We'll probably reach out to the agencies just to get everybody on board and see how we can move this forward. A grant that we applied for through the state to offset some of the cost of training EMS personnel to administer the vaccine. We haven't received word on that. We keep checking with the state and see when they're going to release those funds, so that then in turn we can release them to those agencies that participated. Something that is not on your report is that we are revamping the way that we do community education. There's a community education requirement in the current ambulance agreement, which was written 12 years ago. So we want to revamp it and make use of, take advantage of social media, whether it be YouTube, Facebook, you name it, so that we can do targeted campaigns for our community. And we had a meeting with AMR yesterday. We are going to bring a plan to contract compliance and eventually to committee for, what we are projecting to do the remaining of the year. We are also starting to work on our annual report for the Board of Supervisors. Last year was the first year that the EMS agency did a presentation to the board regarding the accomplishments of the EMS system. And it was very well received by the board. We will continue to, we will update the committee, but it should be in May to take advantage of EMS Week, which we also asked the board to do a proclamation. So we will, our plan is to do also a presentation again this year. This is a good way for the community, for our county leadership to know all of the things that our system does and to know that how we work together to accomplish all of the many things that we have accomplished. So that's the extent of my report. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you for that report, Director Rios. Anybody have any questions or comments? Okay, hearing none, we will move on to old business. We have Laguna Seca Race Participant Death Protocol. Kimberly?
Thank you. The EMS agency wanted to provide an update on this item. We've met with County Council, who is currently reviewing the document, and they are going to be reaching out to Monterey County Sheriff's Office since we believe this is, or they're the ones who created the document years back, to discuss possible revisions, updating the signatures and adding a review date. So there will be more to follow, but like I said, we wanted to provide an update that there are things happening with it in the background. This will likely take some time since multiple agencies and organizations are signers on the document, and they will all need to review. So that's where we're at on that. Any questions? Okay.
Thank you for the update, Kimberly. Appreciate it.
No problem.
New business, new old business, I guess, AB 361. This is regarding the continuation of virtual meetings as pursuant to AB 361 ongoing. And Kimberly, it looks like we're looking for an action or a vote on this to continue such going forward. Is that correct?
Correct. We'll need a motion.
I'll make a motion.
This is Will Hiller. I'll second it.
Okay, and I'll take a roll call vote. Chief Craddock,
Aye.
Tina Nieto,
Aye, sorry, I'm on my phone.
that's okay. Will Hiller,
Aye.
Cassie Caldera,
Aye.
Jeff Horner.
Aye.
And I also just wanted to add that the next special meeting date, the EMS agency is recommending Wednesday, April 6th at 9:30 a.m. That's the time we've been doing it for the next special meeting date.
Does anybody have any comments or any conflicts with that date for the special meeting? Okay, thank you, Kimberly.
No problem.
Next item, term expirations.
Okay, so you had a staff report in your packet, and I'll just pull it up for terms that are going to, or members that are going to expire this year on June 30th, 2022. So that's Jeff Horner, Olivia Madrigal, and then their alternates, which would be Leanne and Carla. We will be reaching out to the committee members to see if they're still interested in serving on the committee, and then we'll have an update at the May ops meeting.
Great. Thank you, Kimberly. And it looks like you were highlighting it there. Carla Negron is no longer with the organization, but I will work with you on identifying an alternative.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving along. Next item, triage tag days. Steve Brooks.
So really, really simple and easy is through the UO process, we received a UO related to an MCI that had 10 people involved. And it was pointed out that triage tags were not used. And it potentially is difficult to track all that number of patients if you don't use our usual tracking tool. So we were thinking that perhaps familiarity with the triage tags, a lack of consistent use might be an issue, and that it'd be perhaps time to revisit the triage tag training days we used to do, where every patient was to receive a triage tag, to both ensure that our field staff are very aware of how to use a triage tag and classify patients according to start triage. And then the hospitals would be able to use the triage tag number as a start for patient tracking, so we could track the patient from the field to wherever they ended up. So the EMS agency is just starting the process of discussing how this might look before we present it back to stakeholders to implement. But it's on the radar. It's something that we're looking to move forward again in the hopefully near future. Any questions?
This is Cassie Caldera. It's not necessarily a question for triage checks, but just a general question regarding MCIs. Santa Cruz County, they do not use ReadyNet, correct? Or can we view their ReadyNet? We recently got an MCI from Santa Cruz County, and we didn't have any notification, and they arrived with 6 patients, 4 of them all in one ambulance. And just had no kind of heads up. And for us, we're a small ED, and to make sure that we have the staff prepared, and the heads up notification or the ring down was 3 minutes before arrival. So it was very difficult for us to kind of prepare for that volume suddenly. But I wasn't sure if they use, I don't know if they were still on EM resource, or if there was a way, if they do use ReadyNet, for us to view that information. Or
Cassie, within what you've said, there's a whole ton of questions that come up of potential issues that brought about the situation. So my recommendation is file a UO, because hospitals shouldn't be getting 4 or more patients unannounced, basically with just a few moments notice, and let us know the date, the time, about the situation is in a UO, and we can follow up that way and hopefully get to the root causes of what brought that about.
Will do. Thank you.
And Cassie, this is Will Hiller from AMR. I know for sure that Dominican Hospital is using the ReadyNet system, but from my perspective, when my wife uses it, it's only the hospitals in the county, and it's mostly used for going red between the 2 hospitals. Yeah, but I couldn't imagine a world where they couldn't integrate it with Monterey County.
Yeah, that'd be really helpful. I mean, we appreciate seeing the alert. I mean, even sometimes I'm at home and I will get an alert, and I can touch base with, my charge nurse. Do you need extra staff? Do you need me to come in? It's just super, super helpful.
No, I definitely agree. And I'll pass the concern along to Bradley Kramer, who's the clinical man over in Santa Cruz County as well.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
This is Deborah Hopgood. I would just add that it does look like all 3 of the facilities in Santa Cruz are in ReadyNet. It may be a matter of tweaking your settings so you receive notifications for those. So I'm happy to look at those with you if you'd like, or refer you to our ReadyNet expert with the county.
Okay.
Great, thank you. Any other comments or questions? Okay, next item, unknown medical calls. Kimberly, back to you.
Okay, so at the last meeting, Dave Jednick, I think, brought up during good of the order, he wanted to discuss in more depth unknown medical calls. So we met with him to discuss what types of calls he was talking about, because I know we've been trying to drill farther into that generic MED call type that come through the CAD that don't really have a specific, it's just very generic. So we met with AMR Dispatch to discuss the possibility of coding these so after talking with Dave, he's really looking or wanting to know more about the precautionary type medicals. So we met with AMR Dispatch to see if we could code these precautionary type medicals differently so that we could, after a certain time frame, run data on these calls to see what it showed, like the percentage that these calls were getting canceled, how often they're transported, if they're transported code 2 or code 3, very similar to what we did with the unknown medical alarm calls. So spoken with AMR Dispatch, and they actually already have a call type built for unknown medicals. They are not currently using it. They're hoping to implement it sometime this month to start to be able to collect data on these calls. Once they implement it, we do know, since unfortunately medical as a precaution is not as cut and dry as a medical alarm, it's a little more where the dispatcher will really have to decide if this falls into a medical as a precaution. And when we say medical as a precaution, we're trying to capture instances where it was truly an unknown medical. For instance, if a passerby who saw someone laying in a park and called 911 because they weren't sure if they were okay. Those types of calls, which they tend to get. They also can run some of those calls through EMD. So we can run data on those as well. So they're hoping to have the AMR dispatchers sort through those calls, change the call type, and then what AMR Dispatch is going to do is each month kind of audit the calls to make sure that the dispatchers are capturing the correct type of calls for that call type. And so then once we're sure all the dispatchers are on the same page on what calls go into that bucket, then we can probably over a 6-month time after collecting that data, we can run data on it. Any questions on that?
Okay, hearing none. Thank you very much, Kimberly, for that. We look forward to more information on it in future meetings. That's all we have listed under new business. That brings us to announcements for the good of the order. Any committee member may make any announcements or comments. Operations may not discuss or take any action, except to decide whether or not to place on a subsequent agenda. Does anybody have any announcements for the good of the order? I do have just one announcement to share. We have a new position at each one of our air bases throughout the region called an operations-based lead. One of the roles of these folks to support not just our staff internally for day-to-day operations is also going to be to conduct additional outreach and arrange for additional training. In no short part, due to COVID over the past couple of years, we've significantly reduced the number of in-service trainings that were being conducted throughout the region, and we're looking to proactively connect with our stakeholders so that we can begin conducting those on a more regular basis. Over the past year, there's been a couple of close calls and incidents that could be avoided through regular trainings, and we appreciate the attrition and staff turnover. So we think it's very important, and we'll be looking to do that going forward. Any other announcements? Anybody have anything else to share for the group? Okay, hearing none, then our next regular meeting is scheduled for Wednesday, May 11th at 1 p.m. But please be on the lookout for an invite for the special meeting on April 6th so that we can take a quick vote and have a short meeting regarding AB 361. Unless anybody has anything else for the group, then we will go ahead and adjourn the meeting.
This is Will Hiller from AMR, and I apologize for interrupting, but Cassie, could you send me an email with the time and date of that incident so I could reach out to Brad? And that was it.
Yes, I will.
Thank you.
Okay, no problem. Hearing nothing else, thank you all very much. Have a good rest of your afternoon, and we will talk to you soon.
Thanks, you too.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.